All right, so today's brown bag, we're going to cover creative problem solving. Actually, I want to sort of take you guys through this by doing rather than me talking about it the whole time. So this will be a lot more hands-on than any of the other stuff that we've done. And so I set up some Post-its and markers and stuff at the tables up here, and then I've got a couple of little games for us to play as well that'll help kind of turn on the creative side of your brains. So the idea behind creative problem solving is that it's pretty much a fixed process, right? So you start out by clearly identifying what is the problem you need to solve, and we'll walk through some ways to kind of make sure that that's really solid. And then you use what's called divergent and convergent thinking. So your brain actually works two different ways, well, many different ways, but two of the primary ways that it works for creativity is that you get into sort of like brainstorming or idea generation mode, and then you've also got kind of a filtering mode, right, where you're saying, well, this idea is good or this idea is bad. And if you end up kind of crossing those two things together, you end up in those really nasty long conversations where you're debating, like, is this idea good or bad? And like you spend an hour in a conference call with somebody talking about three different possible ideas, right? So if you break those two things apart, you actually, by generating lots of ideas, you can ensure that you've explored lots of different possibilities, and then you select explicit criteria to narrow down those possibilities and try and pick the top ideas to go and explore. And that pattern can effectively repeat as many times as you need. So you could have a problem, come up with a bunch of possible ideas for that problem, narrow that down to one possible solution, and then you might have many different ways that you could roll that solution out. So maybe you brainstorm a bunch of different ways to roll the solution out, and then narrow that down into which one you're going to use. So you can kind of repeat that pattern. And if the one you chose didn't end up working well, you can always go back to the other ones that were high on the list from your big list you came up with. So it really opens up a lot of possibilities for being able to solve problems really quickly. So the general, come on in. So the general flow really is kind of what I've diagrammed on the board here. You end up with just repeating this pattern over and over again. So what I'm going to take us through today is just one iteration of this, which is really just defining an explicit problem, and then as a group we'll come up with a bunch of possible solutions, because really the smarts are with you guys. You guys know how to solve the problems, and I don't need to be up here kind of telling people how to solve problems, right? So we'll define a problem. We're actually going to brainstorm a bunch of possible solutions. We're going to come up with some explicit criteria to choose what the best solutions are, and then we're going to narrow those possibilities down and try and pick a top few. So what I thought we would do is, we keep hearing over and over from lots of different people that Gangplank is a really hard place to find. And so what I thought is that as a group we can focus on how to make that better, right? So using this template, in what ways might we? I'd like to kind of get some different ways to phrase that. So how do you guys, in what ways might we make Gangplank easier to find? What are some other ways to kind of say that?
To rephrase it. Advertise, put it on Facebook.
That would be a way to do it, but how else could you describe that problem? So by saying, in what ways could we make Gangplank easier to find, we're really focused down on findability specifically, right? Go ahead, you had one?
I was just going to say, you can also say, what way can you make Gangplank more accessible?
Good. What?
I was going to say awareness or discoverability.
So how might we increase awareness of Gangplank or increase discoverability? So if you guys think about those different three problems that that you guys just shared, each of those kind of, your brain starts going, you actually start thinking about solutions kind of naturally when you hear those phrases. But notice that, like, when you talk about how would you make it easier to find, probably by default your brain starts going to like signage and promotions and helping, giving people maps, those types of things. But when you talk about accessibility and those kinds of things, actually the types of solutions that come out are different. So it's really important when picking your problem statement that you think through that and make sure that that by the way you phrase your problem statement, you're not leading people down a path that you didn't intend. Does that make sense? So Which of those three, which of those sounded kind of higher level, like meaning that it would actually generate more ideas?
I'd say just like awareness.
The awareness?
Yeah.
Okay. So in what ways might we increase the awareness of Gangplank Tucson? Does that sound? Okay, so this is the problem we're going to go after trying to solve today. So next, now that we've got a clear problem written down, what we want to do is make sure that after we've gone and generated a whole bunch of ideas, that we have clear criteria for how we're going to narrow those ideas down. We need to know what a good idea looks like in order to be able to narrow it down at the end. And by us agreeing on what those criteria are before we even start, then it also allows it makes it easier for you to get your brain into that mode where you're comfortable just throwing all kinds of different possible ideas out because you know that the filter is going to catch it on the other side. So you can throw out all kinds of stuff and not worry about, oh, well, that's not a good idea. You can totally turn that side of your brain off. So if we were brainstorming a bunch of ideas around how we could increase awareness of Gangplank Tucson, what are some possible criteria we might use to narrow that down? How do we know when we have a good idea?
You said this was inspired because of feedback on people saying that they didn't know where it was. So what about a decrease in that feedback?
Okay. Decrease in feedback?
Decrease in negative feedback.
Negative feedback.
Okay. I'm just going to write it down here. What else? What other possible criteria?
Well, it occurs to me that, in this Viz Tucson magazine, we didn't get mentioned, but everyone was apologizing for that. And so I think there would be a certain value for getting the name published locally.
Okay. So
How do you
a
phrase
good
that?
idea might be an idea that ensures that we get some sort of PR from it?
PR.
Okay. What else? How else will we know we have a good idea?
It's measurable
In what way?
in the amount of people that we get.
So we see an increase in the number of people that come in?
I don't know, in theory, if we were doing those little sign-in cards, we could actually count it
Yeah.
for some reason.
What else?
That someone's likely to do it.
I'm sorry?
That someone's likely to do it.
Somebody's likely to do it? Meaning they're more likely to come here?
No, meaning that if we have an idea of something we could do, meaning that it's an idea that one of them will probably do.
So it's actually
Implementable.
something that we could execute? Or something that would be interesting to us?
Something that we would probably execute, whether we could or not. I mean,
Okay.
That's the thing, you can talk, go off that, just whether we do the timeline to it. Something we do in the short term, it's a 3-year plan.
So we probably in this case want
Time
something,
execution.
something that we can do fast?
Yeah.
What was yours, Lisa?
Well, a couple. One way of knowing you're connecting is when people start coming to you and including you from the beginning on things they're planning, because they know you'll be an interesting point of view.
So we're included earlier?
Another sort of thing that goes with the measuring in the PR would be to look at hits on your web page or Facebook page, and if that's steadily growing, then that's one way of knowing you're
So an increase in web
you're
traffic?
increasing, yeah.
So we could go on like this all day, right? There's a lot of possibilities for different ways that you can decide whether you have a good idea. The key is to make sure that you spend the time to actually think about, before you even start, what are my criteria for a good idea, right? So what you want to do is probably end up picking, a handful of these, maybe 1, 2, 3 of them. If you feel like there's more that are important from your list, you can pick as many as you need to, and I'll give you a couple tools that'll actually help you with when you've got a big bunch of ideas, how you can narrow those down quickly, because obviously if you spend 20 minutes generating a bunch of ideas and you have to spend 3 hours to narrow them down, you're going to be likely to just skip that and go, well, I'm just going to take one and do it, right? So you want something that's really fast and effective, so that when you're attempting to use it, you don't get hung up on it being more painful to go through this type of process than it is to actually just pick one and go. So for today, why don't we? So I want to try and pick. You want to try and pick two that are kind of fairly different from each other. So we're going to go with 2 today. You could go with any other number. So I think that I'm just going to pick a couple for now, just to keep it easy. So I'm going to do decrease in. We see a decrease in. Actually, you know what? Let's go. Let's go with traffic. We actually see more people coming in here as a result of whatever it is we do, and maybe something that we can do quickly. So I'm just going to pick those 2 as our criteria
So
just
if
for
we
today.
pick those criteria are absolute, right? Like have to pass the criteria for it to be a good idea.
Not necessarily. So we're actually going to end up almost ranking the ideas, and so then you can actually end up sort of, you try your top one and it doesn't work, you grab the second one and go try that.
All right.
Right, so the idea is speed. So great. So now we've clearly defined our problem. We've now figured out how we're going to narrow down and how we're going to know that we have a good idea. Right. So then the last 2 steps in this process are basically brainstorming, generating a whole bunch of possible ideas, and then actually narrowing those ideas down. So what we want to do is, remember I said that it's actually different parts of your brain that you're using for the generation of ideas versus the narrowing of ideas. And so our analytical side tends to be on most of the time, especially sitting here like listening to somebody else talk. That part of your brain is on right now. So we're going to do a quick little exercise to turn that off and turn on your creative side. So if everybody get up and come over here and just make a circle kind of over here.
While we're doing that, so the criteria you're going to judge the ideas on,
Yep.
is this something you would decide on and not tell the people that are going to participate in the brainstorm, or is that something everybody's going to agree on first before you do the brainstorm?
I think you can do it either way. You can be effective either way. I'd say that if everybody understands the criteria beforehand, then it's actually easier for them, because then they're in alignment that when I spend my time generating a bunch of ideas, that something good is actually going to come from it. And I trust that where we're headed is something that I agree with. Does that make sense?
Okay. You don't find that constrains the broad part?
No, I don't think so. All right, cool. So the game we're going to play right now is called I'm a Tree, and it's an improv game. And so the idea behind this game is that we're going to create, if you think about like these paintings, right? You've got a scene in those paintings, and our scenes are always going to contain 3 people. So I'm going to start, I am a tree, and then, you know this, right?
I need the little second piece. I swear there's 2.
So you come in and you add to my tree, anything you want. Just add something to my tree.
I'm a fireman.
Perfect.
I have an axe.
Cool. And then now a third person. So we got a tree and we got a fireman, so now somebody else come in and complete the scene.
I'm a dog.
All right. We got a dog peeing on the tree. So now, since I was the first person in, I'm going to leave, and I'm going to take one. I get to choose. I get to choose one of these guys to take with me. So I'm going to leave the dog, and I'm going to take the fireman. So we step out. Now there's a dog peeing. So somebody else jump in and complete the scene.
I'll be a fire hydrant.
Fire hydrant and dog. Go ahead. Jump in. Anybody.
I'm a bag.
All right. So now the dog gets to pick somebody.
Right, I'm taking the fire hydrant now.
We got a bag. Jump in. Anybody.
Bad.
Yeah, I'm a bag.
I'm dynamite in the bag.
Dynamite in the bag.
Anybody? Jump in. Come on.
I'm a bomb
It's about
stable
speed.
guy.
All right.
Okay?
Now you get to go, and you pick somebody and go.
I'll take.
I'm dynamite.
I'm gonna have the suitcase and I got you handcuffed to me.
I'm the bomb dog.
All right.
I like
So
the dog.
then dynamite leaves, and you can leave too. So we got a bomb dog.
I'm the TSA.
And I'm a hapless traveler.
Pat it down.
Or
Dogs
sniff.
come out, travelers left.
Okay. Hapless traveler.
Hapless traveler.
That's what you were supposed to pick.
Uh-oh. I'm a travel agent.
Oh, no.
All right, fine, I'm a plane.
All right. One of these days, plan.
Huh?
Oh, I see.
The first person in leaves and takes somebody with them.
Yeah, so do you want the travel agent to go, or do you want the plane to go?
I want the travel agent to go. We gotta have a plane.
Okay.
All right, leave the airplane. So then you're out.
So then,
You get to
Then
go
you're
out.
out.
So we leave the airplane.
Good thing I'm sure today.
On the cloud. Just around the tree.
All right, I'm gonna go full circle and leave the tree in.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's good. So, so if you think about what we just did with that exercise, right? You could keep going with that forever. We didn't. We got a few kind of crazy ideas in it. How do you think that game relates to brainstorming? So you're trying to generate a bunch of possible ideas.
it's just like free association, you know?
Okay,
Right,
good.
So, a little looser. you know?
Yeah.
No constraints on ideas.
Okay.
Well, you come up with an idea and then you try to match it with something relevant to it. So the association is a great idea, but you're trying to connect another idea that's relevant to what you're talking about.
Well, or not, you know, it's just somehow to you it's relevant. you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think trust is part of that too, that if you have an idea, that you're trusting people not to make fun of it when you
Yep.
step out and do it.
Yeah, but you're sort of like, there's a goal of having fun, sort of underneath that.
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. How did you guys feel when somebody jumped out with one that was funny? How did that affect the ones that were after it?
You just try to make the next one funnier, you know,
Yeah.
or something, I don't know.
And I don't know if you guys sensed it, but like typically when somebody does something funny, usually it kind of like it kind of breaks down any barriers, right? Like meaning that that the ones that follow on, it was actually easier for somebody to come out with something that was a little bit different because it was like it was okay, right?
Yeah, it's like that thing we talked about before, but we'll talk about
I
that.
think the speed and the pace feels good is part of the fact because it's about getting lots of ideas. And I can say that particularly because it just stands there and becomes with any ideas.
Exactly.
The tree beat it, that's all.
And usually like you end up with some crazy idea, and actually the crazy idea that one person puts in, somebody else actually spawns something that, if you think back to the brainstorm, it actually ends up being totally relevant. So a crazy idea ends up creating a reasonable idea, or the reverse. You end up going down a path that you didn't think you were going to head down. So it's really important to actually throw out the crazy ideas. Sometimes when you're brainstorming, you'll get an idea stuck in your head, and you'll be like, well, that has nothing to do with this. I can't write that down. And like in those cases, I'd say write it down and get it out of your head, because it sort of just like unclogs your brain and you get to keep going. So cool. All right, so let's actually dive into the brainstorm now. All right, so just like the game we played, every idea is totally cool. Crazier the ideas, the better. We're gonna end up. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna have everybody write down their own ideas quietly for just a couple minutes, and that way, any of you that are a little bit shyer and that kind of thing, you actually get the chance to get your ideas out. And then we'll get into a little more vocal brainstorm where you guys are kind of sharing your ideas more publicly, and that way you can build on each other's ideas just like you were doing in the tree.
I have
Yeah.
a quick question. So, is there always going to be a mediator for this
No.
kind of thing?
Now, what I want to do is I want to take you guys through the process, but actually you could do this completely on your own, right? Just following these same steps. You could have a specific problem you're trying to deal with in your job or at home or whatever, and by clearly writing down what the problem is, coming up with a bunch of different solutions, using your criteria and narrowing, you can solve the problem for yourself. So there doesn't have to be a facilitator.
Well, so based on, say, just a work problem, say
Yep.
you're at Intuit, you have a team of 20 people, you're game storming,
Yep.
and there's no moderator. There's going to be a type A personality generally in that crowd that's going to try to run.
In that case, with a group, I would suggest having a facilitator. But
Okay.
but if you're doing it, I'm saying you can do it either way.
Right. But I mean, would
Yeah.
suggest having it where you can, in case that person tries to hijack it like I'm
Yep.
doing right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just like you. All right, so you guys are going to write one idea per Post-it. So you write an idea down and then just stick it next to you. Remember, we're focused on this. In what ways might we increase awareness of Gangplank Tucson? The goal here is quantity, not quality. So as many ideas as you can come up with. So what we're going to do is start kind of collecting the ideas, and I'll put all of them up on this board and start kind of grouping them together. So start events into your close. We've got talk about it. Widen appeal with new subject matters. So this is like around the brown bag.
Could be around there until it's like maybe we're very focused on one area, if we widen that field, people will be coming on that.
Good. You got one over here? So, host a meeting or event on the weekend or evening. So, expanding kind of our time, the times that we have stuff going on. That's good. You got one over here, Bob? Yeah. Call to friends about Gangplank. So, get out and kind of let other people know about it. Do a charity event. Offer a beer and pizza night weekly. Include visual of the building and the logo, website, etc.
All those to the airport signs around Tucson, you just spray paint the Gangplank.
Paint the Gangplank logo
And
on
the last one, we
to
just
the
changed
airport
the arrow
sign.
the other way.
I had wheat pasting, which is
You had
similar.
what?
Wheat pasting.
Okay, good. What's that?
Having broadsides and plastering.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
Charity
I
event.
learned that's a new word today.
Kind of cluster the charity event with this other, expanding our subjects. Beer and pizza is kind of a meeting type.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to cluster some of these ideas together. What else you guys got?
Airplane banner. Everybody's seen the Geico banner.
Oh yeah, good. Good. What else?
Signage, easy for my pen.
What?
Yeah.
Advertise on the plane banner. There we go.
Sweet.
Wow.
Good job, guys.
It's like it's the same now.
Facebook page on Gangplank. Awesome. What else? You have more over here? Keep them coming. They're all good. Offer events or meetings that provide either training for people less than money. Okay, cool. So events and training, got it?
Bumper stickers.
Yeah, these two will go together.
Foursquare for Gangplank.
These two will go together.
Bumper stickers. What you got?
That will be the
Giveaway
number one.
T-shirts.
I got free stuff.
Free stuff is like, yeah, that goes
Yeah.
with it, yeah.
Facebook, Foursquare,
Say constant buzz of
free
energy.
stuff.
We can auto follow every Tucson person on Twitter.
All right, spam.
And windshield,
know about it.
Spammers.
It's fast and it increases awareness.
That's good.
windshield flyers. Is,
Windshield flyers.
everybody loves
If
coming
these are
out of
causing
the
you guys
store.
to come up with other ideas, write those ideas down too.
Everybody loves coming out of the store with windshield flyers.
Build on these other ideas, just like the tree.
We get local bars.
Move to a new location. Each person send out an email to friends. We had something similar to that. Where
First one.
call to friends, email friends.
Put the Google map to this place on the homepage of the website.
All right, good. Better mapping.
So you remember when we went down to Mexico for your wedding?
Yep.
When we went into Rocky Point, they sent a text to our phones.
Oh yeah.
So,
Wait, what?
So we'll tell people to go to Rocky Point
so they can get a text. Yes.
Anytime someone goes near here, we automatically send them a text.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a signage thing, but I take South Palo Verde from I-10, and then I know to look
That's
for
why
the
I
VF
went to
outlet, but
Mexico. There is
it'd be
no
great if
Mexico.
something said Gangplank Bookman
Get a
Center.
sign like the
Yeah.
VF outlet. So
Yeah,
signage,
sign you can see
Yeah,
from I-10.
that would actually be interesting to find out.
you got sign stuff?
Sign you can see from I-10.
Cool.
We can get a local coffee house or bars to make a drink called the Gangplank.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's weird, David.
One, I have no idea.
The art museum actually did that when we did the rock and roll show. We got local bars to have special drinks about rock and roll stars, so.
We need an official bar of Gangplank.
Yeah,
Well, and this goes with it. This is the official Gangplank shuttle service, so that we don't have drunks on the road.
presenting it area
So,
tech or
yeah.
clubs.
I'm playing off somebody else's too, as the public access radio station.
Good.
So,
Good, good. Keep building.
Oh, yeah.
So this is event related. This is kind of publicity, and shuttle service doesn't match anything up. Raffles and prizes at Gangplank. Awesome. Yeah, more? Oh, you got some on your laptop here. Commit a serious crime. Nice. Gangplank.
wearing a Gangplank shirt.
Involvement in other area events. So we had something similar to that. That'll go.
Here, this goes with the serious crime of publicity stunt like parachuting to a ball game.
There you go.
Or we're taking, everybody getting their Gangplank shirts and showing up to suit events. Isn't even like that.
Yeah, that worked.
That one person came to just as you had your
Yeah,
Gangplank shirt.
yeah.
Everybody else looked-
Attract people to your energy by featuring the people actually involved.
Ah,
How about a flash mob?
good. Write it down.
What would our dance be though?
I don't know, dude. We can do the chicken dance.
Write it down. Write it down.
Chicken down the flash.
Flash mob.
Where?
Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah, right. Everybody show up here at noon on Friday.
Sorry. Advertisement. Google AdWords.
Oh, my God.
Replace Bookman's Event Center sign.
But don't ask first, just replace it.
Share funny stories of goofy stuff that happens here, like on Facebook or something, and that will just convey kind of playful and kind of the atmosphere.
Yeah, post a ping pong tournament.
Ping pong tournament.
Go to the Tucson Taco
Taco
Festival,
Festival.
and we'll all wear
I
Gangplank
have a
shirts.
taste.
Be that team of people that just eats the most tacos.
So, put on Craigslist. And, yeah, like under jobs and jobs wanted.
What's Matt's on Craigslist? You got more? Dude spinning a sign on Irvington. Did you generate that from these other ones over here about signage and stuff, or did you already had that? That's awesome.
Hey Ben, you're looking for work, right?
I'll do it for free. Fancy style graffiti campaign.
And this is related to that. Danny Martin's a local artist who does a lot of skulls and calaveras and stuff, but with a real pop.
Yeah.
Like his latest thing is to take the free envelopes from the post office and do his drawings on those. So he just has a great pop sensibility.
Meetings here. What else? Any other ones? Oh, there's more here. Official bar of Gangplank and free stuff.
And I gotta publish the optimum bike route to get here. Because all the people who bicycle, always, they have to go on Discovery every time. Well, we can create one and put it out there and say, here's the safest, best way to take your bicycle.
Capitalize on the mess
Stick
of
it in the back
downtown
of your
right
car
now.
and drive here.
Yeah, get that one down. David said capitalize on the mess downtown. So building on your idea about the bike.
Yeah.
Did you write the bike down?
Yeah.
Any other ones you guys got? So think about, could you combine some of these ideas together to create some other ones? Or maybe break them apart or do them differently? Does that give you any ideas?
I think we can test the Steinbarker one today.
What's that?
The Steinbarker one is like most eyeballs, cheapest, and fastest. We've got it done. And we'd have done before done with this. So we could be out there right now.
Hang on to that for just a second, we'll do that next. Anybody else have any other ones? You guys ready to jump into narrowing?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So, hopefully you can see that we spent like
I would say
less than 10 minutes and generated a whole ton of ideas. And if I would have pushed you guys a little bit further and given you some other ways to combine ideas and do free association and things like that, you actually could end up generating quite a few more. We'll do a couple more and we'll jump into narrowing. So we got provide free web services.
You guys had something you're writing down, right?
She's holding it in.
Yeah, just sponsor events, and when arriving, every time you arrive, think about the visual cues you use to, and think how they could be clarified.
That kind of track, stepping through how we get here.
Yeah, just
Yep.
every day thinking a little bit about where the barriers are.
Good.
Workshops.
Lunchtime brown bags on Friday.
That's a good idea, I like that.
How about
All right.
sponsor some big event like Ignite? And we haven't had an Ignite for a while, and I think that would,
That's a good one.
I mean, that's your audience. Those are the people who you want to know about.
Set those 5-minute talks. What are those 5-minute talks?
Why don't you guys jot those ones down real quick,
Yeah.
and I'll set us up for the narrowing.
Another idea would be to pitch it to someone who writes for a magazine to write about Tucson's growing number of sort of cooperative situations.
So getting some magazine PR.
Yeah, but also to just sort of put it in a context and not just talking about Spoke 6, but also Zero Craft and
Oh, I see.
some of the other places where people are sharing.
All right, so
That's a good
let's see
idea.
here.
They announced some stuff at media committee on Wednesday. So they're gonna try to cover all
We've got speed.
the separate bodies. Look at Spoke, look at all of the information.
So about pitching to Tucson Weekly, getting an article in Tucson Weekly, you got a lot of creative types, and
Yeah,
I read that.
heck yeah. We must
And I
know
would-
someone who knows someone there. Come on.
I would definitely suggest that when you guys are doing this, I'm intentionally rushing you guys so we get through the whole process in the hour that we have. But, I would suggest that on the brainstorming portion that you probably spend 20, 30 minutes just on actually generating ideas. You'll actually feel yourself getting tired, and that's how you know you kind of hit the end of feeling like you've explored a lot of the possible ideas. I know we're not doing that here, but I would definitely suggest that.
I don't know, I'm ready for a nap.
All right, so we said that the speed at which we could, something that's going to be slow to try, or actually slow to implement. And then over here is going to be fast to implement. And then we said like
traffic,
viz.
and lots of new visitors.
Yeah, so maybe like high visibility.
Yeah.
Something that's highly visible. I'm going to tweak it just a little bit so it fits in here, but does that feel right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I realize we didn't talk about it as a criteria, but what about audience?
Yeah, that the audience matches our,
Right.
that it's the right type of person we're going to attract.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go with high visibility and low visibility. I'll show you guys how we can do this multiple times to actually find ideas that would match lots of our criteria. But I'm going to figure out logistically how to do this. So what I'm going to do is so this is going to be another audience participation spot. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take, our goal is basically to get all of the ideas that are over here onto this board, right? So I'm going to do a couple just so you guys can kind of see how this works, and then I'm going to ask for your help. So the idea, each person here sends out an email to their friends. So do we think that's going to be high visibility or low visibility?
Right about in the middle. But it's
In the
gonna be
middle?
Quick.
What do you guys think?
Maybe a little lower.
Lower.
Maybe
A little lower? Okay.
Tucson's the end. Right?
But,
Okay.
but
And
there's
then-
also kind of the strength of it that you're more likely to list to friends than
Yep.
in an anonymous ad that might reach a lot of people, but
Right.
be less acted on.
So it'll be possibly higher impact but lower visibility. And then how quickly do you guys think we could do this?
Immediately,
It'll be pretty quick. It'll be over here somewhere. So let's just stay here for now. And this isn't like it's anything permanent, right? The goal is that what we're looking for is the ideas that end up kind of up in this area. If we can do them quickly and they're high visibility, then those are the things we should try first. And then we can start to explore some of the other ideas. And like I said, you're not cutting it off and saying we're never going to do anything that's out here. You're just sort of prioritizing by applying this technique. So if you guys can get up again and just come over and let's start taking the ideas that are on this board and basically put them onto this grid. And you don't have to take your own, you can grab other ideas too, that's totally fine. And then we'll have a couple minutes to for us to discuss and advocate whether we think things should be different or.
Dan, do you know how to make the signs that go around your back? I don't know. I've never actually done it.
They make it look easy though, it can't be so hard.
So this would probably be good, but we can't have access to the site, right? So it's really hard to implement. Like you can't put the map on the site, right?
No, we can't. We can't do plugins.
Oh, okay. So it's a little easier then? All right. I thought we were.
So like we could do that today. Except how do we get it to post from moving off the home page?
You guys are so well behaved. All the other people I do this with, they're like over here debating and going, no, that shouldn't be there.
I'm on.
Okay.
Two at a time.
Aaron's gonna have to edit.
Nah, I'll leave it in. Unless you start mooning the camera.
Can I put that as an idea? Get a tattoo on my butt? Gangplank?
We should just tell people to borrow it. Tell people to tell you not to borrow.
We should just tweet the slogan.
You didn't cover it enough. Yes.
All right, only a few more left.
Tucson Taco Festival, there is such a thing?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, the first
2 more
one.
weeks.
Dude.
First one ever.
Dude, why haven't I heard of this? I love tacos.
Aren't they advertising like 10,000 tacos or something
I think
like
so, like
Yeah.
really big numbers, yeah.
$2 tacos, $2 beers or something.
It's funny, they got videos of all these people eating tacos and doing all this stuff, but it's their first year.
Last Saturday. There's like 25 things going on the last Saturday.
I know.
So we should not have an event that day.
Yeah.
Every weekend, it's the same.
It's just the
I
weather's
have to
so
say, I
nice.
hate the tamale festival if they have it, because everybody uses the same fork and they pick up stuff
yeah.
and serving plates. It's so gross. Okay.
All right, the last few are coming through, so our next step that we're
Where
gonna
did we
do
the graffiti at?
is, if you guys kind of gather back around once these last few are on and kind of analyze what you see there and look for any where you feel like they might have been misplaced. If you feel like somebody didn't quite understand it, or typically you'll see this in your own ideas, but what I'd like to hear is if anybody would like to advocate that something should move to a different area.
I think the one that says move to easy to find location would have higher visibility.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of
Yeah.
move.
But that's slightly slow to implement.
Yeah, very slow.
Yeah, way slow. All right, good.
Did you ever see that graffiti that was under the Alvernon? There's that bridge.
And this is why it's important to write one idea per post-it, and I gave you fatter markers so that you guys can actually read what each other wrote. Otherwise, if it was pen, it'd be like magnifying glass.
Why I should have.
Whoops.
Whoops.
When you feel comfortable with what's there, let me know.
I think the dude spinning the sign should be lower visibility because you're not necessarily going to get the correct target audience.
The arrow might be pointed the wrong way.
The dude spinning, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, if they should be spinning the sign right
We just have to do it during the commuting times. All the people that are coming down here to work, there's only like 2 or 3 north-south roads to get to all these tech jobs that are down there.
Where should it be?
On top of the big pile of post-its, it's already there.
So what about the official bar of Gangplank? Is that like setting up a bar and getting a liquor license here?
We technically already have a bar.
I mean, if you were to serve
Maybe we
alcohol,
just serve
that would
espresso,
be
right?
way
We'll
off.
just tell people it's a bar and play the technical card. Really good idea.
I'm just a bit concerned that at the moment the top idea is committing a serious crime.
That's not fast to implement.
That's your idea.
And that's why picking good criteria is important, right? So probably, and what we've got a couple minutes, so let me show you guys kind of like how you would do
Try
this.
not as high visibility, right?
And that actually, I
Fast.
would be an idea we could implement the one we would. I don't think commit a serious crime would be that high visibility. You'd get a couple of snippets here and there
Yeah, there'd be,
in the paper and maybe on the internet, but I mean, other than that.
If it was, no,
a really serious crime. Seriously.
It would go with the whole pirate metaphor.
Well, if that's the case, then to do a serious crime for like hundreds of millions of dollars to get the exposure we want.
Yeah.
Is really slow that,
You had to mention your idea, man. It just went,
All we have to do is hack something and say,
I don't
the
think
cake makers hacked it. and
So
then
the
all
way that
world will be
you guys can use this.
yeah, I was going to say admit that anonymous works here.
Hey, hold up for a second. The way that you guys can use this technique to actually apply now a third and a fourth criteria, right? So we sort of learned through this that probably it's important to have some criteria around that it gets the right type of people here. And
It's legal.
maybe something else about whether it's legal or not, like whether we should do it. So you actually can apply, you could write those same types of criteria here on the board, and then you would basically take all the ideas that made it in the upper right and pass them through another grid. And then now the things that end up in the upper right meet those criteria and meet these criteria. So you could keep doing this as many times as you needed to make sure you got the right criteria. And it obviously gets faster each time because you lower the number of ideas.
Is it worth revisiting ever some of the things that got left on the table when you do that?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to spend the time to have you guys sort of advocate, no, this should be over here, this should be over here, right?
And some are kind of half in,
Yeah.
So,
And so what we probably would do is we'd say, hey, we're gonna like grab all these here and we're gonna try them out, right? Maybe we're gonna prioritize these and assign them to different people and try those out and see how well they work, run some experiments. And if they work well, then we don't need to look at anything else outside of that. And if they don't, then we just kind of keep going, right? And that's specific to this situation. The situation you're applying it to may be totally different. It might be that you've got to pick one and go with it. So run it through a bunch of these and make sure that you've got that one nailed. So now we've got a whole bunch of possibilities for trying to get some more people in here.
so I can see this working like in business situations really well, or everybody working on a project. When it comes to personal stuff though, have you ever tried it like with your wife
use it
or
for-
anything like that?
I use it for personal stuff all the time.
Okay.
My wife
and
and
it's
my...
thumbs, I mean, without digging too much, it went okay or? not
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, it works well. It may not be, it's not quite as explicit.
Right, and
You-
there's a
you're
learning
just sort of
curve,
like,
right? For anybody to
Yeah.
play with, you have to kind of teach them the
Exactly.
process first, right?
Yeah.
So,
like getting them to sort of turn off and say, don't narrow right now. Just think about generating ideas.
People love narrowing right away.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you see that we ended up with a lot of possibilities, and actually there's plenty of them here that are really good. And so, so you guys know when the ideas came out. Were any of the ideas that ended up here in the top some of the later ones that came out? Eric's nodding a little bit. Anybody? Is it not the case with others?
No.
We sort of went fast through it, so it's not always going to be the case. But a lot of times what you'll actually find is that some of the better ideas end up coming out later. Because at the beginning, if you think about your brain as like a sponge, the beginning you kind of squeeze and a whole bunch of stuff comes out, and then you got to squeeze really hard to get the last of it. Right?
Last drops.
Yeah. So cool.
All right.
That's the end of the class.
All right.
Oh, look,
They came in, we clapped.
That is a great welcome to